Welcome back from your 2-week break. It is time to review what we did before the break. It's all you're going to be doing today, so we're not doing anything brand new, especially since I am not there today. That would be hard. So we're going to go ahead and talk about factoring again. This is what we focused a lot on right before we went on the break. So to start out, just a reminder, factoring is when we do this little factor puzzle, that X shape that's over here on the side. So first thing you need to do is, I'm going to go ahead and label these as this is our A value, this is our B value, and C value. So A is 3, B is 10, C is 8. So with the factor puzzle, remember the B value always goes on the top. So in this case, 10. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. There we go. And then your A multiplied by your C value. So A times C would go on the bottom. So 3 times 8 is 24. At this point, and I can't show it on the screen, this is when you go to your little factor chart. Hopefully you still are held on to those. I have a few extra that I gave the sub. But at this point, so you go ahead and you find your factors of 24. So you're looking at 24 on the factor chart, right? And it'll have like a list of like 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8. Sorry, that's really messy. 4 times 6, and that's actually the whole list right there. So you're figuring out which one of these on the list would add up to 10. And the answer would be 4 and 6. So remember, because 4 plus 6 gives me 10, but also 4 times 6 gives me 24. So it has to match up. All right, we found our two numbers. At this point, we're going to go ahead and transfer things down. So remember, first things first, you're going to move that first number, 3x squared, put it in the first spot. The 8, you're going to put on the last spot. And then you're going to go ahead and the 4 and the 6, you're going to put with x's, so it'll be 4x plus 6x in the middle two spots. And then you do your ka-chow little grouping method, which sometimes people like to call the lightning bolt method. And at this point, you're going to find numbers, the biggest number you can divide by 3 and 4 by. So the biggest number I can divide 3 and 4 by is 1. But remember, they both also have that x at the end, so we're going to put a 1x. And then we're going to go ahead and divide. So 3x squared divided by 1x is 3x. I'm going to do a different color though. 4x divided by 1x is 4. Now we're going to do the same thing for the next two pair. So for 6x and 8, we want to find the biggest number or the greatest common factor of both of those. And the answer would be 2. I can divide both 6 and 8 by 2. Now notice I did not put an x on this one. That's because the 8 did not. This one, the 8 has no x on it. So we're going to go ahead and divide them. So 6x divided by 2 is 3x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now we're set. The final step is the easy part. You're just, notice these are exactly the same. Hooray. So I'm going to put that one down. So we've got 3x plus 4. And then the outside numbers, the 1x plus 2, I would put right here. So these ones right here. Perfect. You'd be done with the problem. That would be it. Now, I just showed you one. So a reminder that this method that we just did, you only have to do if the A value is something other than 1. So remember, we call the FAST method going to write that right here. So the fast method is when a is equal to 1. So if you look at this whole page, I'm actually going to go out of order for a second. If you look at the whole page, notice, and you have this on your own page as well, the 3, for number 2, there's a 3. For number 3, there's a 5. But for number 4, we've got that leading coefficient of 1. So a is 1. So that means this is the fast method. The fast method just means you get to skip. Sorry, I should have moved this over. The fast method means you get to skip all of this for the fast method. So don't actually write that on your paper. Let's go to our fast. I'll stop moving around. Okay, let's make sure the X is in here though. So same process though. So this is our A, this is our B, this is our C. So you always put the B value on top, so -5 in this case. And the C value is on the bottom. Now we have negatives. Negatives means you have to start thinking about how each number works. We are trying to find two numbers that multiply to 6. So in order to get a positive 6, you either have to multiply two positive numbers together or two negatives. Well, since this top number is negative, we know both of the numbers will be negative. And remember, the only numbers that multiply to 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. So in this case, it's going to be -2 and -3. Okay, so just a reminder of the way you check that. Well, -2 plus -3 equals -5, like we had in the top. And -2 times by -3 is the +6. All right, so we said this was the fast method. We love the fast method because remember, you just go ahead and write your answer. So you put X because that's our variable. If it was a W, put a W. And then you just pick one of those two numbers you had. So I'm going to do the -2 first. So right there, close that off. The second one would be X, and then this time minus the 3. There's your fast method. You're totally done. So let's go ahead and do a couple more of the slow method problems to get that practice in. So number 2, we know it's slow because there's that number right here. So this is our A, B is -1, and C is -4. So we're going to put a -1 right here, and then our A times our C is -12. So 3 times -4. Now, once again, negatives is whenever you see negatives, it throws people off a lot. So if the bottom number is negative, just a reminder, that means that one of these should be negative, one should be positive. So it's -12. We want two numbers that add, so they need to add up to -1. But then when we multiply them, it should be -12. So the answer would be 3 and -4. Okay, so 3 plus -4 gives you -1. And a positive times a negative gives you a negative. So 3 times -4 gives you -12. So -4, +3. Let's write it that way. I'm actually going to write it like I wrote it down there because I'm going to make sure we remember one step by putting it in this order. Okay, so remember, put the first number down, so 3x squared. That last number goes on the end, so -4. So these, just like that. And then I'm going to put the two numbers right in the puzzle on the next line. So we've got 3x, so we'll put the x on, and -4x. And then we split it. Ka-chow. Okay, so first things first, we find the biggest number you can divide both of these by. Their coefficient's the same, so you're going to put the coefficient down, and then they both have an x, so you're going to divide a 3x. So let's do that. So divide by 3x, divide by 3x. Sorry, I shouldn't cover up the rest of this. So 3x squared divided by 3x is 1x. And 3x divided by 3x is 1. So remember, those cancel out, and you're still left with 1x because they were 2 x's on that one. Okay, so this is the next part we need to remember. So the biggest number you could divide on this one, most people will say 4. But remember, if your first number is negative, you're going to pull a negative down. So you'll do -4. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and divide. So divide by -4, divide by -4. So -4x divided by -4 gives you a positive 1x. -4 divided by -4 gives you positive 1. I didn't mean to make those different colors than the other one, so I'll just change that to red really quick. Okay, so these are exactly the same, so I'm just going to pull it down. And then the outside numbers go in the other set. So 3x -4. Now, just as a reminder for the answer, technically it would just, 1x is the same thing as x, so it's x plus 1. And then you don't usually write 3x plus -4, you would just write 3x minus 4. These are just, these lines I have are just to help as a guide. Okay, let's do one more. And I didn't put the guides on this one. So -22 is on the top. That's our b value. Then I multiply, so 5 times 8 is 40. Okay, so there's going to be negatives again, because there's a negative somewhere. Notice the bottom number is positive, which means both of these should end up being negative, because a negative times a negative gives you a positive. So when we look at your factor chart, you'll find the two numbers that add up to -22. And that would be -2 and -20. And remember, you're looking at 40 on your chart. And you'll notice that -2 times oh, sorry, I put -22. That should say 20. Multiplied by -20 is equal to positive 40, like we have. All right. So remember, there's going to be 4 spaces. So I'll go ahead and write 5x squared and the 8 at the end, plus 8, I should say. And then we'll put a -2x and a -20x. And then we'll split it on up. Ka-chow. Okay, time to find out what we're going to be dividing things by. So for the first pair, you'll divide them both by the greatest common factor. So 5 and 2, the biggest number that goes into both of those is 1, and they both also have an x. So do 1x. Okay, so 5x squared divided by 1x is 5x. -2x divided by 1x is cancel. The x's cancel, I should say. And you get -2. -2 divided by 1 is -2. Okay, then -20 and 8. Once again, a little reminder, if you can't figure out off the top of your head the biggest number that you can divide them both by, remember, go to your factor chart and look at both 20 and 8 and look for the biggest number they both share. So in this case, they both share a 4. That's the biggest number. But just remember that when your first number is negative, you pull a negative out. So let's divide those by -4. So -20x divided by -4 is a positive 5x. And 8 divided by -4 is -2. And they both match, so we just write our answer, 5x minus 2. And 1x, or just x, I'm going to put just x, minus 4. All right, I know that was maybe a short review for some or too long for others, but that's the review, and you'll just be working on the homework from there.